My name is Kati Torda. I came to Ghana in 1979 following my young student husband who returned after 6.5 years studies in Hungary. The beat connection also happened when I went to my husband's hometown in the Volta region, not far from home, and I was greeted with a bracelet. And they were beads on an individual string, and those strings were turned into a bracelet. They came to greet us, and everybody who donated a bead looked for the bead on my hand, and they said, "It's from me to you. Welcome." Many people think beads, since many beads are made in Europe and imported here, is not Ghana's culture. I said, So long as you name it, you own it. And they gain a new life, and that new life belongs here. I am imported, and now I'm a Ghanaian. Look at me.
The Biame so Adam subscribers and viewers as said the Biame the video to my channel is wa munya da jenia botre e follow me am the show me videos me da munya na masi na me sanso asre se ene e your first time a odi aba me channel is wa se in case woni agi me videos so na the Bia hwe me videos na so subscribe ma me a me stress say o hwe me video na se ho no na on say subscribe button bi ho no ma ayese red ayese black me stress for nsa emia so odon nsa emia so a bell icon be ba for nsa emia bell icon so emia or anytime bia me de video ebe to channel yesu obenya notification na won so wanya bi ahwe me da ase se wayesa e de amamie na ewusuan de tie nyina ne se enche bia ana 500 diasporas ebe naturalize e de ma oman Ghana CCD sa edomia yehu omu nyina omo eye Ghana fo a omo equita Ghana kara yeto aba ene e o Ghana hase no mo omu nyina sa edomo nyina omo so betimi ato aba e de ama oman Ghana na de toso bi ma esanso eye enika ade nso ne se obusia over 500 diasporas on be naturalize de ma oman Ghana na echi no ablofu ya yehu omo ye mako 300 ana omo so abe naturalize e de ama oman Ghana sesi a me no ekasei omo ye Ghana fo omo so kwita Ghana card ya nene se oman Ghana ye to aba omo so akwanya se omo so betimi ato aba e de ama oman Ghana na sa ablofu ya yehu China for India for Lebanese for enso ewo ebi enso efri Europe and America and nasefo asesi we mu nyina omo so ababa be Ghana for na ya na me bisa me ho sometimes say sa enkrofo we mu a omo krom ye ka sika ebi wo ho ye ka enwuma ebi ewo ho na ye ka oman a omo adan a efe ene akwan papa omo nyina omo obi aga me hu ne say oman Ghana de anka yentumi mfa ye ho entoto omo enema baako mienu bi ho yen Africans kwa ye pe omo man akotitiw ene oman Ghana ye pe omo man mu akọ ne akwakope adwuma aye ewo ho no ne ba ne sei ana omo de omo eja oman wese ato ho na omo aba oman Ghana bibi etai echiri bibi etai sabotaya omo de aye sade wen bibi etai echiri na sade na etai echiri na ebusia sa obroni ya oda hoyi ono pe ana ebetimi achirechire mu kame ho ne nya botre ma me na yentie obroni ne no mu ase de ntia ahohoi omene je ho se ombeba oman Ghana ma be naturalize dia mo oman Ghana no ebusia ono pe ana ebetimi achirechire ne nya botre ma me na yentie ne mra.
Why do I prefer Ghana to the Western world? Well, the first reason is peace. As I've gotten older, I value tranquility over pretty much anything else. And if you've lived in the Western world, you probably don't know what it's like to live in peace. Let me explain. We have all of this social division in the Western world. Every time you turn on the news, something is there to get you angry. And when you talk to people, even if you ignore the news, they're angry from what they saw, and it just spills over into conversations. Can you believe we're in a country where people can't come together on Thanksgiving dinner without worrying about a political argument? That's something, and even though there's problems everywhere in the world, I don't really see that in Ghana. I don't see that permeating every aspect of their life. If I was to make an analogy, what is it like going to Ghana from America? It would be like you're in an office building. You work in an office building, and there's this really loud hum from the air conditioning system. And it's really annoying at first, but you just get used to it and it becomes white noise. And you forget how annoying it is. And then you go to an office where that noise isn't there. And suddenly it's like, wow, this is how things are supposed to be. And to me, this is more important than any business or anything financial. It's just being around people where you can have genuine conversations and you're just not dealing with this social division that permeates Western culture. The Western world is supposed to be so great, but how many people have to be on antidepressants in the Western world? How many people need to turn to illegal and legal substances to relax after a hard day's work? It's not to say there aren't problems in Ghana, but it's so much less common than it is in the Western world. And the business isn't bad either. There's a lot of opportunity in Ghana because Ghana is a rapidly growing and rapidly developing region. If you're making it big in America, that's great. I do well for myself in America as well. But you're always going to be just a cog in the machine. If you want to really leave a mark, if you want to build a business that matters, it's a lot easier to do that in Ghana. So I don't hate the Western world. I've lived here for a great portion of my life. But if you're asking me what I prefer the lifestyle of Ghana. So I hope that's of value to you and helps you understand why I prefer to do business in Ghana. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video. Let's compare Paris to Accra as a place to take a vacation, because who doesn't like an apples to oranges comparison? As far as weather, in Accra, I was sipping coconut juice on the beach. Here, I've been freezing my ears off. Let's compare the food between Accra and Paris. Now, Paris doesn't have street food, so we can't really do that kind of comparison, and they don't have chop bars. But if we're going to compare sort of inexpensive cafes, Paris is a little bit better than Accra. Now, where it gets really interesting is on the mid to high level. I think on mid-tier pricing, Paris and Accra are fairly comparable, and I'll give the edge to Paris. But when we go to the high end, I actually prefer high end in Accra versus Paris. And I know we have all the Michelin restaurants here in Paris, but I don't think they're that good. I actually think that the food in Accra is better, but that might be my own personal preference because I prefer nice spicy food, so your mileage may vary. As far as shopping, you can get all the major brands in Paris, but I can also get all the major brands in New York and DC, so there's nothing really special about shopping in Paris in my opinion. However, you can get stuff in Accra that you can't really get anywhere else in the world, and I think that's pretty cool. You'll be doing different activities here versus Accra. So in Accra, it's warm, you're on the beach, you're doing jet skis, you're going sailing, you're going out all day. In Paris, you're kind of going to museums, you're going to see historical sites and get a bunch of Instagram pictures. As far as nightlife in Paris, it's traditional, going out to clubs. If you've been to New York or you've been to Vienna, you basically understand what Paris is like. Whereas in Africa, it's a little bit more social, it's a little bit more about having a good time, which I've talked about in other videos. And nothing wrong with going out and getting drunk in a club, but Africa hits a little bit differently, and I think it's something you should check out. As far as the quality at the airports, I'm sorry to say this, but Paris has us licked in Africa. This is pretty nice. Hopefully we can catch up to Europe pretty soon with our airport qualities in Africa. As far as transportation, I'm fine getting around with Uber, my personal driver in Africa, but
when I'm in Ghana and I get stopped by the police, guess what I get? I get a warning, I get a ticket, and I got $100. I've never, since I've been over there, saw on the news or nothing that somebody got pulled over by the police and got shot. They don't shoot you in Africa. I think it's more beneficial for us to go home. America's my home, but Africa is my homeland. Me going to Africa is like going to a place called home that I've never been. When you land in Africa, you immediately feel good. So when I go to Africa, man, it's the place I get to walk around and I'm good all the time, because the majority of the people look just like me everywhere I go. And that's a warm feeling, man. But I think what people don't understand is how rich of a continent Africa really is.